So this right here is my top 5 most hated Dragon Ball characters. These are the characters that I really can't stand, or some of them that you hate for the right reasons. Maybe they're supposed to be hated, so it's kind of like it's a plus for them to be hated. So let's jump into it. Coming in at number 5 is a relatively new character from the Dragon Ball Super franchise, and that is Frost, the cheater, the Frieza wannabe, ultimately just in general the abomination of what are you doing, bro? So you come into the tournament, the dude is like, you know, trying to trick motherfuckers. He's like, hey, you know, I'm Big Daddy Dog, I look like Frieza, I'm a beast. And then you find out he's a fraud. You find out that the dude is a cheater and he's weak as shit and he gets bopped so quickly in the tournament to the point where it's like, so you're just a Frieza lookalike and you're a scumbag. And that's one of the main reasons why I feel as though Frost gets on this list, because even though you're supposed to hate him, the reason why we're hating him isn't just because he's a scumbag, it's because you're basically a Frieza clone that can't fight for shit and you get bopped so easily by Vegeta that it's kind of like, what was the point of you even being in this Universe tournament to begin with, the Universe 6 tournament, when you really weren't much, dog? Because a lot of fans had high expectations for the Universe 6 arc. A lot of people wanted to see some greatness, and when you have fighters like Frost, for example, that is a straight up fraud, it's disappointing because Dragon Ball fans been waiting for years upon years for new content, new villains, and when you get somebody like this that is a straight rip-off of Frieza, except 10 times worse and not as menacing or anything like that, you know the dude done goofed. So that's why Frost comes in at number 5 on my most hated Dragon Ball characters. Coming in at number 4, it's a really interesting thing because it's more so comedic, but then at the same time there is a bit of hatred towards this character, and who I'm referring to is Krillin, aka Kuririn. The reason why a lot of people hate him mainly is because he dies so much. He's a walking meme. Him dying is pretty much as natural as the air we breathe, and Krillin dying many times is one of the main reasons why people dislike him. Personally, I do have a love and hate relationship with Krillin. I don't like Krillin for some of the reasons that he did have a lot of potential, especially if you watch Dragon Ball early on. It was like, yo, he's a beast, and then when you find out that he's only human compared to Goku, and you find out Goku is an alien, it's like, yo, he kept up with Goku for the most part this entire time, only being human, and then he amounts to just basically being a punching bag and getting killed, and only being like a plot tool for Goku to go Super Saiyan and stuff like that. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why Krillin gets a lot of hate. But then not to mention some of the mistakes he made in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that, because he wasn't perfect. One of the main ones is basically he put the fate of the world at risk because he wanted to fuck a robot, essentially. Because when he had the controller to shut down 18, and he could have right there shut her down and, you know, just start bombing the shit out of her, or use million destructo discs and cut her up into pieces and stuff like that, he could have saved the world potentially. And ultimately, because he was sexually attracted to a robot, at the time he didn't know exactly what they were, or that they were once upon a time humans, he just knew it was a robot, he threw the world into more chaos. So that's one of the major reasons why Krillin gets the L as well. And of course, again, because he dies so much. And for the most part, that's why Krillin gets number 4. 1, a lot of wasted potential. 2, he dies like crazy. And 3, he put the fate of the world at risk because he had a boner for a robot. Coming in at number 3 is somebody that puts the fate of the world at risk because they want their son to study and they love books. Chichi. Dragon Ball Chichi, I loved her. She was sweet and innocent towards the end. When she grew up, that's when she kind of became moody and a little bitchy. But then you go to Z and she completely became a certified biatch. I mean, she went from a cool martial artist that kind of, you know, had a couple of skills here and there, to a housewife that does nothing but nag. She nags at Goku for training, which ultimately his training is to make sure that they're safe and that they don't die and that this world continues to prosper. She ruins her son's life, and that's the major reason why I hate Chi-Chi. Not only is she bitchy, not only does she bother the shit out of Goku when all he wants to do is train, which effectively helps the world, you know, keep going, but she's responsible for ruining one of our favorite characters, one of my favorite characters, Son Gohan. The fact that she's the reason that he decided, you know what, I love books instead of training. The fact that she molded him into becoming the abomination that he ultimately becomes after the Buu saga is disturbing. I mean, we had potentially one of the greatest characters out there. Gohan would have been absolutely amazing. He would have been the successor to Goku had it not been for her being a nagging housewife and a nagging mother. And of course, on top of that, again, the fact that there was wasted potential as well. Started off as a martial artist, which is kind of par for the course when you go from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z. A lot of the characters that did have potential ultimately were squandered in favor of Saiyans and Super Saiyans and for 5 hours straight. So ultimately, Chichi, you nag like crazy, you're wasted potential yourself, you ruined your son, you bother the crap out of Goku, and you just like, you suck. Coming in at number 2, I was just kind of talking about you, bro. I just was. Adult Gohan after the Boo stuff, because up until Boo, he was still okay. He did his book stuff, but he still rose to the occasion when the world needed saving against Majin Buu, Super Buu, the Crazy Buu, or whatever. Like, he still was there, and he was amazing. And I don't really need to dive too much into Gohan for you to understand what happened, but he went from, he was pretty much bound to be the hero of this story. Z, the later half of Dragon Ball's story, ultimately was the Gohan show. It was supposed to be Gohan seeing him from a little toddler to a man, and how he can ultimately take the place of Goku and, you know, save the world and stuff like that. And from him, at one point, being able to defeat the main villain, destroying Cell, to being a joke. Not being able to know if he can even go Super Saiyan. It's disturbing. A lot of us, our childhood was looking up to Gohan. We looked at him as, you know, this incredible character, but the massive decline in his character, and of course it's mainly due to the fact that in favor of Goku being the hero, they tossed him aside. It still doesn't take away the fact that he got a treatment that a lot of other characters got, where it was like, you're no longer needed, you're no longer important, get out of here. But he is the prime example in animated manga of wasted potential. He should have been the main bada boom, bada bang of the series, but instead, right when the Boo stuff happens, pretty much is like, nope, you're not gonna be the hero. And that's one of the main reasons as to why Gohan is hated so much. Number 2 on this list. You go to the latest stuff and he can't even beat base form Frieza. He's nothing. He just wants to be in the books all the time. And don't get me wrong, that has been partially in Gohan's character, mainly because of Chichi always pushing that shit on him. But he always knew that he had a duty to save the world, and he should have kept up to a certain degree with his training and with his physical power, so that way one day when his father can't do everything and Vegeta's gone and stuff like that, he can save the world. So yeah, Gohan, number 2. And coming in at number 1, the man that everyone loves to hate. People thrive off hating on this man, Yamcha. Yamcha is the prime example of what you strive to not be as a man. So let's take a little history lesson with Yamcha. He started off, he was a very, very bashful guy. He could not be around a pretty girl or he would flip out. He would start getting the nosebleeds. He would be shy. He'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. You know, he would faint. Like, dude was a shy and bashful guy. But he developed. He actually grew some balls, some cojones, and he got with Bulma, and it looked like it was smooth sailing from there for Yamcha. Up until we get to some of the tournaments in Dragon Ball, where he pretty much got his ass busted and never went to any of the finals, or really had any, you know, development, some girth in his strength to ultimately become a great character. So it already started. The problems with his character already started in OG Dragon Ball. He was already like, what are you doing? You're never getting past the, you know, the first round of the finals, you know, after the preliminaries. Like, you ain't gonna ever, you know, make it. But then you get to Z and the ultimate slap in the face of the character, which everybody knows. I mean, for starters, getting, you know, knocked off by a Saibai-Man is bad enough. Like, the Saibai-Man got you, bro. That's horrible. Like, what? But then the dude that is partially responsible for your death, Vegeta, Prince Vegeta, steals your bitch, son. Really? Really? I mean, partially gotta look at Bulma like, yo, you slut. How dare you do that to a man and stomp all over his pride? But she left Yamcha for the man that was responsible partially for his death earlier on in the series. Now, granted, he was brought back or whatever, but Yamcha, the burn, you lost your girl to the man that killed you, the burn. And then, of course, on top of that, you go to the android saga. He's the first person to get pierced through the chest by the androids, and he amounted to absolutely nothing, useless, and he is one of the biggest memes aside from over 9,000 in the Dragon Ball verse. And that's why I had to give it to him as number 1. Anytime you think of a joke, or anytime you think of like what a piece of shit, you think of Yamcha in Dragon Ball. But let me know what you guys think about all this. Who do you feel as though are the most hated in all of Dragon Ball? Did I miss one? Did I not say one? Again, I had a longer list, but I had to only pick 5. And do you think maybe there was a character that I put on there that shouldn't be on there? Maybe you feel as though there was somebody that should have replaced him, or he shouldn't have been on the list at all. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.